Yeah, so I'm going to try my best to do the intro without using my notes, but
Okay.
we'll see how it goes. I'm your host, Solomon Harvey, and the Sol Good Media Podcast is a podcast that explores the nature of human experience. So what it is that drives people to do what they do, and what it is that gravitates each of us towards our passions. And today I'm so excited to have Keara Palmay on the show because Keara has created a purpose-driven business that really is in alignment with her passions. And I feel like, you know, you're really, in my eyes, a huge inspiration of what is possible.
Aww.
And it's just so cool to have somebody like you in our community now. And
Yes.
for people that, you know, are interested in learning more about you, our conversation today is going to be kind of based towards, you know, a little bit of your background, a little bit of what you do, and moving towards what it is that you hope to do in the future. So
Cool.
I wanted to kick it off by asking sort of what your history has been leading you into the work that you've done today.
Wow. First off, is this like do I have to watch what I'm saying and be
Not
very
at all.
like clean? Okay.
Not at all.
Because sometimes things just slip out and I'm like, oh man.
It's all open. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No filter.
Awesome. Now that I know I've got complete freedom here. So what really inspired my path to begin the way that it has is I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 16 years old. And when that happened, I had my first wake-up call that led me to have lots of questions like, why the hell am I here? What was this thing called life about? If it all ends today, what was this? And did I feel like I had been living a purposeful life? And at that time, the answer was no. The answer was I had been living automatically, doing what everyone told me to do, showing up where I needed to be, right on time, and it was all very automatic. And I realized that my emotional state on a day-to-day basis was rather pessimistic. So when I just looked at my overall quality of life, I realized that I had the opportunity to now shift it. And that's when I really started connecting with some sort of higher power and talking to that higher power. But it wasn't flowers and roses overnight. It wasn't like, oh yeah, the day I got diagnosed with cancer is the day I had my wake-up call and then everything was great after that.
Right.
Obviously, I went through treatment, which was pretty brutal. And the path of all of that led me to a dark place where all of a sudden I was like, screw everything that I thought about spirituality and no one understands me. So it was just this dark story that I created where I was insecure of my bald head, or I was ashamed that I might need to get a hip replacement and focus on that when everyone else is focused on going to college, or I was just really, there was just so many insecurities, and I didn't feel like I could relate to anyone my age.
Mm-hmm.
If they were talking about a breakup, for example, like it was the end of the world, I was kind of wondering in my head, well, am I going to be here tomorrow? Like, these are the challenges I'm dealing with, but I didn't want to tell anyone. I didn't want to bring it up in conversation because I felt it was so heavy. So I just masked my emotions day after day, didn't talk about it, just kind of joked everything off. And eventually, like I said, that's what led me to this dark place of feeling like it was me against the world. So, after just living that reality for so long, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. No one understood me. It was true. I graduated college. I did what my parents told me to do. I received that degree. And once I got into the working world, it really felt like I couldn't find my place. So eventually I realized I created a new shitty reality. And I realized that I could actually create a great one. So that's when I guess I had my second wake-up call. And a sequence of events led to this. It's kind of like the rock bottom place. But once I experienced my rock bottom for like the second time, by the time I was maybe 24 or 23 years old, that's when I started reaching out to people like you who were on a growth path, or they didn't think my dreams were crazy. And I started attending various events that made me aware that I could shift my focus. I could transform my beliefs. And if I transformed my beliefs and shifted my focus, then that would shift my emotions. And when my emotions shifted, they influenced my behaviors. And when all of my behaviors shifted, added up, that transformed my entire reality. So I started thinking that there was something to this. Yeah. And it really was paying off. I was attracting more cool people like you. And and then people wanted to pay me for stuff. And I was like, what the hell? Okay. So I had to learn business and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's really what led me to this path, is kind of having a wake up call, dropping down to a low place, and then deliberately choosing to create a different reality that sounded fun and exciting.
Right. Wow. That's so amazing. And that brings us pretty much up to date. I mean, you've done a lot of fine tuning over the years.
And I still am every moment of every day, because we're all humans. And so we all have our insecurities, and I have my fears, and I understand that my fears are not me. In the past, I allowed my fears to attach themselves to my identity as if all of my fears were this real thing. But I realize they are not. So although I still do have fears, I still have insecurities, I still think, oh my gosh, what if all of my dreams go to shit? That's normal. So I listen to these fears. I'm like, okay, cool. Welcome. Thank you for your input. I appreciate that. And what I choose to feel instead is XYZ. What I choose to focus on instead is XYZ. So it's like a moment to moment choice. Yeah.
One of the things that I feel like I've heard comes up as a big challenge for your clients, and I imagine you at the beginning, is imposter syndrome.
Okay.
So what is imposter syndrome, and what are some steps that people can take to overcome that?
Yes, great question. Imposter syndrome is when you don't feel worthy enough to do the thing that you want to do most. For example, when I started life coaching, I was working for Tony Robbins, and I had landed a really amazing career for myself at a young age. But when I got that first client, I actually was fired. They actually called the company, and they told their sales rep, whoever it was that sold them the coaching package, they told the sales rep that it felt like their coach was reading a script and they couldn't connect. And they didn't see that they could create any positive change with me, because it seemed like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So that sales rep called me and was very angry, because his that was his money. He obviously made a cut of that sale. He's like, Keara, what the hell happened? Your very first client, and you somehow blew it. Like, he didn't say it like that exactly, but he did definitely want to get to the point and figure out what it was that was going on. And I told him that it was true. I was reading a script. Everything she said was true. And he said, well, why were you reading a script? And how do you even read a script when you're coaching? But I said I was reading a script because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust that I was going to be good enough to serve this woman. And so what manifested was I wasn't good enough. She fired me. But it was a great wake-up call, because then I threw that script that I had in the trash. And I just chose to trust in myself. And so the second client, I was a little bit awkward. Third client, still a little awkward. Fourth client, still a little shaky, but getting a little more edgy. Fifth client, I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to say what I think and lay it on her. And then all of a sudden I became more and more confident, and my clients were getting better and better results. And I was saying those things that everyone else in their lives were afraid to say to them, but help them make the biggest transformation in their lives. And so, yeah, I stopped holding back. So that's kind of a story that illustrates what imposter syndrome is like. I knew I wanted to guide people to a better place in their lives, but at the same time, I was questioning, well, am I really qualified to do this? Do I have the credentials? Blah, blah, blah. All the fear voices in your head can go on and on forever. But what I learned from an amazing marketer called Russell Brunson, he just said, as long as you're one chapter ahead of your ideal client, then you are in a place to help them raise their standards and elevate their realities.
On that note, you have talked about identifying your ideal client avatar. So for people listening, what would be yours? How would you define your ideal, some of the clients that you work with currently?
Some of the clients that I work with are very multi-talented entrepreneurs who can't really seem to hone their vision into something that's tangible.
Seems like a lot of people these days
Yes.
in my sphere that I've noticed. Yes.
Yes. And I mean, I started this business because that was me for years, just getting certification after certification. I was a life coach turned health coach, turned healer, turned life coach, turned internet marketer. And after a while, it gets exhausting to bounce around like a ping pong ball. So I help people really clarify where their unique zones of geniuses are and then ground them into a clear vision where they can then share a specific message with the world. And then we market that as well so that they can attract clients and help other people create a transformation with their unique gifts.
Which I find so valuable because, you have authors and creators and they can have the next life-changing product or idea, but if you're not getting it out there, right, you're not able to share it with the world, then it's sort of sitting dormant, or you're battling that imposter syndrome, right, where is this idea, does it even have any validity? People,
Right.
And then how do I share it without feeling salesy?
Right. That's a huge thing.
And I feel like you're at a position where you've gone through those processes of going through internet marketing and going through, but then, finding your tribe and sort of cultivating your message to, attract the ideal client. So how has that tribe changed and evolved for you?
Yeah, a lot. There's this quote that one of my business mentors told me. It's that marketing is like fishing. And when you use a certain type of bait, you catch a certain type of fish. And if you don't like the fish that you're catching, you've got to change the bait, which is your message, which is your marketing. So, I mean, yeah, in the past when I was all related to health, I was putting out messages that were actually geared towards people going through chemotherapy, all related to their health. Fast forward a few years when I started my business, I was specifically helping life coaches market their own businesses so that they could attract clients. So when I say, I started my own business, I'm just rewinding to what I said like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
This was like my first real business because I had tried to be a health coach. I had tried to be a personal trainer. I had a few clients, but I did not know what the hell I was doing. I figured once you got certified in anything, then people would start knocking on your door or like be really interested in your Instagram posts and just demand your services. And I realized I really needed to learn marketing. So eventually I did. I hired marketing and business and sales coaches that showed me the way. And yeah, I started my own legitimate business that was actually profitable like 3 years ago now.
Okay.
And that was the business helping life coaches just launch online businesses.
Under Keara Palmay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. And so when I first started, I was a little naive, and my marketing message was, of course, share your gifts with the world. But then some of my copy, like the way that I was marketing to my tribe, was coaching certifications are so expensive. Certification after certification, you've got the skill to transform people's lives, but it's all becoming so expensive and daunting that you're just wondering when this is all going to finally pay off.
Yeah.
You want to learn marketing, you want to learn business, but nothing seems to be taking off for you right now. You're wondering where the gap is. You're looking for a change, blah, blah, blah. And then I start talking about the change that I could help them create. But the problem with that message was, hey, you invested in so many certifications and now you're not making any money. So like what? They're not going to have the income to invest in me.
Gotcha.
So, I was putting out the wrong bait, catching the wrong fish. They're all like, yeah, I want to invest in you, but I've got nothing to give.
Gotcha.
So I had to tune in and wonder, okay, what is it that I'm putting out there that I'm attracting this?
Mm-hmm.
And then I shifted it. So, now my ideal client is someone who's invested in themselves. They do have experience and they have created some sort of payoff from their services, but they're ready to refine that vision and take it to that next level. So yeah, really, you're always going to fine tune that message that you're putting out there. Mm-hmm. And that can vary from ad campaign to ad campaign. If I'm running a Facebook ad, I actually run 10 at once and I shift the message a little bit just to see which one will do best.
Gotcha.
And then I'll just turn the rest off.
And I think that is a huge gap between people that are, I've tried everything, but then it's like, have you really tried everything? And so there's this balance of really getting it out there to the masses in a way, and then also having it be authentic, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like your mission, which is, I feel like you can say it way better than I can, synergizing people. Can you say it for people just to...
Yeah, I help people synergize their unique gifts into a service that raises the collective consciousness.
Which is incredible, because I feel like that message really speaks to the heart of what you are doing. And it's not saying... make a bunch of money or do this. It's like, we're going to try to raise the collective. And that's kind of the point of this podcast, is to give people media that's going to empower them to make some changes or be introspective enough to say, well, if I don't like the way that things are, I guess I have a few options to try to change it. And through seeing other people that have already done that. Yeah. And one thing that I wanted to touch on today that I feel like I really value in the work that you do and the videos you create, and just you're an author, you wrote a book.
Yes.
Dominate Life, which is incredible. I bought it online.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was checking it out. Cool. It's really, really cool. And I feel like you have a really great job. You do a really great job of getting into the flow state. And that, is different for everybody, but what does that feel like, getting into the flow, and how do you sort of prepare, whether it's a client call or a video that you're about to create? How do you prepare to get into that state?
Well, I typically never know when it's going to come. And sometimes the flow state is quite manic, where I'm just so excited that I can't do anything else other than what I'm doing. And I forget to eat, which is huge for me, because therapy for me is cooking. So I love being in the kitchen. It always quiets my mind. So if I forget to eat, it's a really big deal. So yeah, sometimes it can just come from out of nowhere. And other times I have no idea I'm about to enter a flow state, but it's often when I'm just super tuned in with a client, for example. I'll just be listening to everything going on. I'm listening to all their fears, all the blocks, and I'm also listening to the bigger vision. And I feel like I have a good ability to just relay back to them exactly what they said and be like, okay, so you're blocking yourself here. This is what you want. You tried XYZ. What else could you try? It's like, I I don't really prepare to get into the flow state at all. I think it just happens. And I think a really key thing to tune into about flow states is just keep doing what you're doing, keep getting better and better. Because I was not in a flow state when I had that first client at Tony Robbins when I was reading a script. And eventually I got really confident that I could coach any place, anytime, anyone. And so then it just became very easy.
I think it comes naturally when you're doing something that you love.
Yes.
Right. So you kind of lose track of time and you're doing something that you really enjoy, which is helping people create really meaningful things and raise the collective. And so you've designed your business to naturally put you in the flow state rather than trying hard to push yourself in a direction. And I think people can find that in their day jobs, you know, if they're just kind of getting into the work that they're doing. But I almost feel like people think like, no, I couldn't be paid to be in the flow state. That's crazy. Like to love my job, that's a bizarre idea. But to say like, no, you really like, if you design the life you want, like that can actually bring in an income. What does...
It's true. Because I had all those thoughts too. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. I'm not qualified. I'm not certified. I'm not anything special. These thoughts all went through my brain for so long. And sometimes they still do. They'll still come up and say something mean to me. And again, I'm just like, hello, fear, I appreciate you. And you can just go over in the back seat and I'm going to drive the car now and think something differently because that's bullshit.
What does a typical day in the life look like for you?
Oh gosh. I am very free. I'm very free. And the way I live my life is I wake up and I meditate. I journal. I'm very emotional, so I'm always journaling through my emotions. And then I just do movement in the living room. We do Wim Hof breathing every so often. I wouldn't say we're doing it every day. When I say we, I'm talking about my boyfriend and I.
Blake, who was on the last podcast?
Yes, he was on the last podcast. But yeah, just move around a bit. And that is really all that I do. We have a elixir every morning, like coffee with reishi mushroom in it to kind of chill us out and help us focus throughout the day. And then other than that, it's just I have my schedule I set up my online calendar very deliberately, where I only work 3 days a week with clients or with prospective clients. So I created a very limited availability in my online calendar where people can book to talk to me. And so I abide by that. I set very healthy boundaries for myself. Since I did mention I'm a very emotional person, I need to protect my energies and find a way to recharge, which I do through having intense boundaries. And then so Tuesdays, Thursdays where I'm not working, I'm working more on the business rather than being in it. I'm thinking about what's the bigger picture. I'm journaling towards that, or I'm making plans around that. Or I'm doing nothing. Like I'll just go watch the sunset. So yeah, but a challenge I can have is an addiction to work because my brain got work mixed up with play because I did start experiencing such dopamine hits for doing something I love and actually receiving compensation for that. And so when that happened, I wound up oftentimes never shutting off. So this is something new for me where, you know, we shut the laptops at 5:00, stop working. And sometimes Blake, my boyfriend, will catch me on the laptop, which is so funny because We have this joke usually if you like find your partner like in a bedroom with like the door shut tightly and they're on their laptop, it's like, what are you watching in there? But when he sees me hidden away with my laptop, he's like, I know you're building a sales page right now. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, let me see your computer. And it's like, oh, you are.
That's so funny.
So yeah, I haven't been perfect with that, but
What a great problem to have, though.
I
you
know.
To love your work so much that you want to do it in your free time.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, my schedule's really free flow, to be honest. And I don't think that works for a lot of people. A lot of people are saying, man, when do you leave the house or whatever? And honestly, I don't even go to the gym anymore. I used to be like a bodybuilder and be really regimented with that. But now that I don't even go to the gym, it's like, I could be home for several days. But that works for me in the cold of the winter, which it is right now. It's really intense. I don't really want to go outside sometimes.
Thanks for making the journey here.
Yeah. There's like a blizzard today with hurricane gusts.
Crazy. It's raining, ice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I imagine you build some pretty meaningful relationships with your clients as you work through these really incredible transformations.
Yeah.
How do you keep your boundaries when you're, do those turn into friendships, or are you trying to, because there is that fine line between work and, have you found a pretty great way to, is that still a difficulty that you face?
I'm not 100% certain about that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have gone out of my way to create friendships with some of my students. And then I realized that they wanted to specifically create some sort of business venture with me. And then if I didn't want to proceed with that, then it was like all of a sudden I didn't think we were as close as, I thought we were friends here. And then sometimes I have realized there was some sort of motive behind that. Like they loved me, but they just wanted to partner with me to create something bigger than probably they could on their own. So that actually has been a thing that I've experienced. And yeah, but then there's other clients of mine who are just so amazing and I want to stay in touch with them forever. I was just talking to Blake about one of them in particular. So to be honest, I haven't figured out the best way to create that, but they know, at least for the time that they invest into working with me, let's say it's 3 months or 6 months, they know to only reach out to me through a specific app. They know not to text me or call me at any given time. I'm very clear with them of what my boundaries are. And then beyond that, if I'm in their city or they're in mine, whatever, then, we might hang out. And I do have a few clients of mine who are good friends. So it's something I'm still learning to navigate.
Yeah. I just ask because I feel like a lot of social influencers these days, that's probably one of the number one questions that come up is like, how do I differentiate between, wanting to make really meaningful relationships, but then not being able to like give all my energy to, and disperse it to all these different places.
Right.
And so learning to navigate that, I think, is going to be an ongoing challenge for everybody, that is in this sphere of creating some meaningful content that attracts a lot of people.
Yeah.
What is it that you find brings, like, what is your meaning or definition of success? If you're working with a client or just for you yourself personally.
For me, I have 4 main values. The biggest one is freedom. I used to want to make a lot of money because it was something I never had. And I went through college and I felt like a disappointment to my parents because I was on chemo and I certainly didn't have money to pay for college when I was 16, 17. Then all of a sudden I finished chemo and everyone's like, hello, it's time for college. Go ahead, do that thing, Keara. And I was like, what the hell? So my parents paid for my undergrad, which was really cool of them. But I just kind of jumped into it without knowing what I wanted to do. and all of a sudden found myself in a place where I graduated with a specific degree and wanted nothing to do with that thing. So I felt like a disappointment because they were very, I came from a very modest family. My dad brewed beer and my mom was a nurse, which she did well for herself. But I mean, to raise 2 kids and all that good stuff, we didn't have much to spend at the end of the day. So yeah, I always wanted to, I knew that was a big deal for them and I wanted to make them proud and I wanted to show them that I could become successful through following the road less traveled. And so I think my ego really like took charge for the first few years. Like, yeah, I'm going to really succeed and show everyone how well I can do. And then I realized that I was not after money at all because I had created more than I ever knew what to do with when I first started my business. And to be honest, I actually chilled out a lot since then because I realized what my true values were and what truly felt good to me. And if you're making shit tons of money, but you're so consumed by business, which is what happened to me, is my identity as a woman was, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a powerhouse woman, blah, 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 I am successful. I moved into a penthouse. I had all these fancy things. I was traveling the world. I was getting featured on marketing websites like ClickFunnels where they were bragging about how I created all this income while I was traveling the world and hired a team to like do all this stuff for me. By the time I came back from all that, I was like, I'm coming back to this penthouse. I feel so alone. Didn't make any friends in my city. I had lived in that city, Boston, for like 7 months. Didn't make any friends. Just felt so disconnected from my family who were over in New Jersey. But I was like running around, moving to all these different cities, trying to live the dream that I forgot about what was most important to me, which is my family, which is connections, which is just time to make music and things that I really love.
Right.
So yeah, I love the work I do. And I had to realize that there is so much more to Keara than that. That's just like a tiny fraction. But other than that, I value freedom, connection, adventure, and harmony.
Nice.
So everything that I do in my life, I just kind of check in. I'm like, does this align with my top 4 values? Yes or no? If it's a no, it's like, well, can I shift it so that it does? And if it's still a no, then I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
What was between adventure and harmony? Freedom, adventure,
connection.
That's huge.
So yes, reconnecting with my family. We were very close, but like I said, when I was on this kind of chase, when I started my business, I was so excited that everything was like taking off, that I lost touch with what I loved most, which is my family. So I just got back from a trip. I was with my mom. We met up in St. Pete, Florida last week just for a few days in the sun. And, you know, it was amazing. So nice. Even though I'm not close to them in proximity, the relationship is so much closer because I had this whole reevaluation of my life, I would say about 1.5 years ago. And just said, what is it that I'm trying to chase here? Like, what is it that I'm after here? Because it's really not the money. It's not a number of clients. It's like, wow, I just want a simple life. I just want simplicity in my brain.
Right.
So
yeah,
yeah, it's always changing.
That's incredible. Is that something that you help your clients work through? Is that a big part of the work you do with your clients?
Yeah, because it's that thing where I'm going to be a chapter ahead at least of my clients. So a lot of my clients who come to me are like, I want this, I want that, I want $20,000 this month, or I want to host a retreat that sells out with 20 guests and I want to launch that within 3 weeks. You know, all these things that they tell me, and then I sense how much pressure they're putting on themselves. And it's like they're telling me these financial goals they want, but really it's just so that they could pay their bills or whatever, or just so that they could feel like they're good enough for someone, whoever finds out that they made 20 grand that month.
Right.
They just want to like show them like, hey, now I'm worthy because I met this criteria. And yeah, and I noticed that that was a pattern that I used to run in my life. So yeah, I definitely feel like I've got a lot of wisdom in this area, and am able to support my clients in aligning their life with their values. And that is something that I do my best to make sure that I'm always doing.
And I mean, I checked out your website. It's amazing to see the amount of people that you've helped and
Cool.
collectively have raised over, $200,000 between all of your clients and more, I'm sure, because that's just the people that have posted about the work that you have done with them,
wow.
and just being thankful for that. And it's just like, it's not about the money, but
Right.
that money is just a reflection of the value that they've provided other people. And so it's cool to see how your work has rippled out and helped
Yeah.
other people
Yeah.
tune into what it is.
And I like what you just said, because it's very true. Money is value.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's got unlimited amounts of value inside of them. Just your natural way of being is valuable, because you, Solomon, you're great at some things that I suck at. And so it's very valuable for me. Like, you came over my house and fixed my garbage disposal. There was a bone stuck in it.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah. Thanks to Bill, my repair guy, right? Who taught me. We just keep passing it along, right?
Yeah. So like, I would have paid someone to fix my garbage disposal, and you just had that value inside of your soul naturally, and you fixed it. So everyone is valuable. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that if anyone wants to like create something, then you could tune into like, okay, what is it that I love and that other people could experience as valuable? Because anyone can go ahead and run with doing whatever they want to do.
Right. Amongst all of because I feel like you're very raw, you tell it like it is, you express what you feel, and you're very open on the videos that you share, and I'm sure with your clients as well, because just having that vulnerability allows them to share more with you. What is something that not many people know about you?
Not many people know. Well, I guess I said it earlier. I mean, I'm just a super emotional person myself.
Yeah.
It sounds so sexy to have your own business and to be able to work in your pajamas or something. And then, I get to do cool stuff like retreats and whatnot, and people pay me for this. And the other side of that is that inner voice is it's so loud at times, because I'm not in a commute to work looking at what's around me and making sure I get to work safely. I'm not talking to people around the water cooler or like interacting with people that much unless I see them at grain train.
Right. Yeah.
So like I said, people can perceive my life as very sexy, but there's also that other side where I do really crave that human connection, and I am left with my thoughts more than the average person, I would say, because I've got so much free time.
Right.
And so, yeah, it is a constant process for me to work through what's coming up for me. If it's really good, then that's great. I'll use that momentum. And a lot of times it's not so great, or it's some BS fear, or it's just something that feels toxic. And that's when I get to go and work through it again and again and again and again. And I'll do this for the rest of my life. But yeah, that's something that not many people know about me, because they just see this like very inspiring side, and they see that you can do what you love. But I too am, working on myself just as much as anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is a huge impression that people have when you look at your role models or your mentors or heroes and say like, wow, you guys have it all figured out.
Yeah.
It's like, we're all evolving, right? We're all just trying to figure it out. And it's amazing with times changing as quickly as they are. I think the work that you're doing holds so much value in just aligning people to what it is that they truly want to do. That there's, you're saving 20 to 50 years of somebody working in something that they don't enjoy doing when they can be, when you line up, you have so much to offer and you have so much value to give to other people.
Yeah, it's cool to help people realize that. That's definitely meaningful.
Do you think that coaching is considered to be sort of a luxury service, or do you feel like it's an essential part of, I feel like in my demographic of age group that it could be perceived, and same with like personal training or, taking care of your body. These could be, they could be thought of as these luxury items that when, like you said, you've invested a lot of energy and time into it and money into it. But it's brought you to where you are. Yeah. Does it feel like
there's a difference? There's a difference. And the good, like a well-rounded, intelligent, wise business person will find a problem and create a service. In my case, I sell a service. They'll create something to solve that problem. Either a service or a product. Like I said, I don't sell products at this time. So when you are solving a pain for people, that is perceived as a necessity. For example, if someone is a yoga instructor, this is a real life example. I had a client who came to me for this. She is a yoga instructor and wanted to teach yogis how to deepen their split so that they could just be more flexible. But that's just a luxury because there's no pain there. I mean, yogis could feel, I'm not a yogi, but I do yoga every so often. I kind of suck.
There's some pain in me trying to do the splits. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what the pain would be. Like, oh no, Jennifer has a deeper split than I do. And I want to.
Not like a physical pain, but like an actual pain of like, this needs to happen.
Yes, exactly. So if there isn't really that, then yeah, it's going to be a luxury and you could sell something for $5, $17. But that's really not going to sustain you. Because if you work your ass off and get like 100 people to buy a $17 ebook, that's $1,700. You have to work your ass off next month and the next month. It's like, when does that end? You're enslaved to this $17 ebook. Right. So the wise thing to do is to make sure your business, your service is solving a real problem. So for me, coaches who invest a lot, coaches, healers, yogis, whoever invest into learning skills where they could provide a service, they want to provide that service. They want to get paid to share their work with the world. And when they're not, then they start feeling like, where have I dropped the ball? What is it that I'm missing? I thought it would be easy, and now it's year 3 and I'm still stuck where I was a few years ago, and it starts to hurt. It's like, it's an inner hurt. It's an inner pain. There's a huge wound. And it's linked with their identity. And the strongest force in the human nervous system is to remain consistent with your identity. So if I say I am very nice, then I will continuously prove that I am nice. I will always be nice because that's how I perceive myself. And if people start to perceive themselves like, if someone starts to perceive themselves as not successful, not worthy, or ashamed, then that is really deep and intense. And so then they could reach out to me and just be like, hey, I need guidance. It's been years. It's been months. I'm in pain. I need guidance. So, that's where people could see my services as a necessity and kind of justify why it is that they're investing in working with someone like me, with someone like my boyfriend who does corrective exercise. His ideal client is physically in pain and losing sleep, and it's really messing up their life on a daily basis. So that's why they could justify working with him, is because he's actually solving a big pain.
Right. And I feel like the coolest part about this is that you help people through the transformation and then sort of send them on their way. It's not like you're solving all of their problems in their life or all of these deep pains. It's when you define who that client is, or you define what that service is, you just keep helping people solve that. And the new people that are working their way through that come into your life right at that time, and then you help them through, and it's not like the work necessarily changes. It's you just get better and better at
solving that one problem.
Right, exactly.
Solving that one problem. No matter who has the problem, no matter what their different circumstances, I'm really good at solving that one problem of how to ground your gifts into a tangible service and share that with the world. So, for that yogi woman who wanted to help people deepen their split, we wound up shifting her services into helping people with PTSD learn how to center themselves and heal through yoga as a modality.
Wow.
Yeah. So the essence of her work totally shifted, because that was the reason why she found yoga, was because of PTSD. And so, when you're really congruent with your own journey, then that's often when like the best business ideas come about, because you realized where you were struggling, you realized where your own pains were, and then you can empathize with the people who still have those pains. And it's almost as if they've fallen into a hole in the ground, and you can just extend your hand down to them and say, hey, I've been in that hole. I know the way out. Take my hand. Let me show you the way.
Does that happen pretty quickly, or is that a couple months, or just kind of varies when you're working with clients?
Does what happen pretty quickly?
Their transformation. Is it like, because I know that you were saying that you have a free 15-minute call that people can work with you, and you can determine whether or not you can help them or send them on their way to work with other people. And sometimes, like you mentioned in one of your videos, not just calling you when you have a problem, calling you when, when things are going well, to keep in alignment with that mission. And so it's not just, I'm in despair, I don't know what to do, I'm going to call Keara. It's like, things are going well, how can I optimize it even more?
Right.
And is there or is that completely
it's totally
subjective?
Individual. Yeah. It's totally individual. See, another thing I do is a personality analysis, which I also learned through working at Tony Robbins. But I have each of my clients take this detailed personality assessment, and then I look over their personality. And it's not set in stone. People definitely shift their personality contextually, but I can also see where they're doing that. And I can see how it's creating tension in their lives and in what areas of their lives. I have so much information when I have them take that. And I can also see their values and what's driving them. And this way I'm working with everyone on an individual basis for whatever their version of success is. We're going to create that.
It takes the guessing out of it.
Yeah, but I can naturally see in some people's scores that they're going to take a lot longer, and they're going to need a lot more hand-holding, because they need all the details. Their inner critic is so loud that it always says, this is not good enough. And I can literally see that on paper. So when I have someone like that, then I just know to check in with them more, make sure they've got all the information they need to move forward. But for people with my personality type, which is just like, let's get shit done and figure out if we fucked up later.
Right, yeah.
Then we just get shit done, whether we fucked it up or whether we did a really good job. We just get it done really quick.
And then you get to look back and learn whether or not it's in alignment with everything.
Yeah. So for people who are kind of like me, they seem to get things done fast. And then there's the other type of person, which no one's right or wrong for sure, because it would definitely be nice to have harmony within all of those different areas, which is what I'm really working on doing. However, it's going to take some people longer naturally. So everyone's results are totally different.
For people listening right now, what would be some questions that you would ask to get them to understand what the value it is that they could offer? Because we're all unique, we're all individual, but to have them take a moment to just think about, what is the value that I could offer? What would be some questions that they could ask themselves, or first steps to getting just in tune with what it is that they currently have. Because like you said, it's about being a chapter ahead. And I feel like I kind of know this answer for myself, but not everybody listening necessarily knows how to deepen that understanding within themselves.
Yeah, the number one question is, how can I raise consciousness with my gifts? So what that means is, if I drop you on planet Earth anywhere, assuming that everyone speaks the same language as you, how would you naturally be able to support people? And then you just tune into, what do people tend to tell me I'm great at? And then you'll start to see patterns. And if you don't see the patterns, and you're thinking of this right now and you're like, oh shit, I don't see a pattern, you can literally reach out to the people who are closest to you in your life, your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, anyone in your family, whoever, whatever friends are closest to you, or clients, anyone. Just reach out to them and say, hey, I'm working on something that I learned in a podcast, and I want to ask you this question, ... What do you see as my unique ability? And you just send that off, and then people are going to give you feedback. So I actually did this when I started my business, and everyone said, you helped me get massive clarity. You helped me get massive clarity. Clarity. The word clarity was in every single thing that I received, every message, email, whatever. So I really, move forward with helping people clarify their visions and get them out into the world. So yeah, I would encourage you to start thinking about what that thing is that people tend to say, wow, after I talked to you that day about XYZ, I really felt ABC. Like, what are those things? And tune into that, because that is something that you could run with if you love it.
Great. Yeah, thank you. I feel like that definitely is it's a starting point.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll all kind of evolve as you continue to lean into that, but
yeah. And then the next question, in order to get more into that, is, okay, where can I go to immerse myself in an environment of people who are also interested in this? So, if I got the download that I always help people get clarity, then maybe I'm going to go volunteer at a Tony Robbins event where there's a bunch of people looking to get clarity on their life. Or maybe I'm going to join a meetup group of, I don't know what meetup group it would be, but, maybe it's life coaches, or maybe it's, healer or spiritual people looking to connect with their inner voice. It could be anything.
Right. And the coolest part about what you and Blake have tapped into is this global marketplace.
Yeah.
Like Blake was saying, I just signed up somebody from the UK.
Yeah.
And so to be able to work with such a global marketplace, you then, through phone calls or videos or the different apps that you guys use to communicate, are not bound by where you are locationally, which allows for the freedom that I think so many people are seeking. And they may look around their community and say, well, there's no demand for this, or who's going to pay for this when I'm surrounded by people that don't even really have any desire to pursue something. Tapping into that global marketplace is another thing that I think you offer as you have such a huge network of people that through all of the work that you've done and the experiences you have. And that will just continue to grow, right? With your client base, people you work with, that word of mouth will distribute that. And Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, none of that is location bound.
No. And it's funny.
Infinite,
yeah.
right.
I never really think about, no one in Petoskey wants to work with me. It's like, I've never had a client from Petoskey, which is where we live right now. So yeah, when people start to tell me, I'm really into spirituality, but I'm from the South and no one agrees with my philosophy, they're all religious and think that I'm a witch. I'm like, well, that's interesting. There's a whole world out there. And so, I guess my brain doesn't even think that way. But some people do think that way. So yeah, just take into consideration that social media is a tool to reach the masses. Like whoever's thinking right now, I wonder how I could reach the masses. it's in your hand right now. It's like just an app. It's like Instagram or Facebook. If you work with professional people, then it's LinkedIn. There's a variety of different platforms you could use, but obviously you should get intelligent. If you're going to use Instagram to grow your message, you've got to use all 30 hashtags, because how else is anyone going to find you? And if your profile's private, then no one's going to see those hashtags.
Right.
So you've got to think, just ask yourself, how can I think even bigger?
Mm-hmm.
When you notice your brain goes small, and I'm not just talking to the listeners, I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to myself, because I'm constantly asking myself, how can I think bigger than I'm thinking right now? Because there's something that I'm totally missing here, because I'm so narrow-minded on thinking the future needs to look like the past. So how can I think bigger here? And then the answers come.
Nice. Yeah. And it's not just Petoskey, but any business that is location bound.
Yeah.
That is like, they're obviously offering some sort of form of value to somebody. But, if you're reliant on foot traffic, or you're reliant on, a tourism-based town like Petoskey is, and it's dead winter and there's a blizzard blazing outside, like, I think that there's a lot of value in this conversation to, look at how could we move to this global marketplace, not just in Petoskey, but all cities across the world of, if you can get your message out there, sure, maybe there's not, I think the whole population of Petoskey is something like 6,000 people. How am I going to find,
gosh.
how am I going to find 1,000 people that are into this specific niche of service that I offer?
Yeah.
It's not realistic. I think we're moving in that direction, but, I just have been sort of triggered by seeing what it is that you guys do and being like, wow, there's this world of opportunity that you think of as like this far out thing, but there's people in our community that are doing that and that are being successful in it.
Yeah. And honestly, it was a choice as well, because I am very connected with people, and I've got clients in New Zealand and Australia and Thailand and the UK and the America and Canada, all over. But it was a choice for me to go into the environments where people were in the same conversation as I was, or people dreamt like I did, and encouraged my dreams and didn't say, hey, you're crazy, why don't you do this safe thing over here? They said, that's awesome. Yeah, I could see that for you. Like, yeah, let's well, I'm doing XYZ. And I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. So just making the choice to be in the environments where people were thinking like me and dreaming like me is what caused me to have those very first connections to start a business. And then from there, obviously, branch out. So again, everything is a choice. And I know the town we live in right now is kind of far from major cities, but there are still opportunities, and there are still meetup groups, and there are still conscious gatherings and whatever else you're into. It's all there. So yeah, just be sure that if you're not fulfilled with your reality right now, whoever's listening, just tap into what is it that you want to feel more of, what elicits those feelings for you, and then go find something that you can attend to be around other people who are in that vibration that you want to be in more, because everything will start to flourish from there. Not overnight, but it will.
And I imagine there's a few listeners out there that are at that point where they're ready to, they've got the thing figured out that they want to offer and they don't know exactly how to bring it. So for people that want to work with you, where can they find you?
You can go to kearapalmay.com. I'm sure my name will be in the title here because it's spelled
and I'll have links in all the descriptions too.
Yes, my name is spelt in a funky way. But yeah, visit kearapalmay.com. There is free video training as well. So if you feel like you need more information, or you want to receive even more downloads and insights than were available on this podcast, you can check out the free training. But yeah, otherwise you can book a call with me right on my website.
Nice. Do you have any calls to action, words of wisdom, anything you want to leave our audience with?
Yes. Follow your curiosity. and invest in your dreams. So if you're feeling curious, what would life be like if I did XYZ? Or would it be possible to pursue XYZ and still be able to pay my bills, or even better? Just follow that curiosity. Tune into what that thing is, and tune into what the vibration is of that thing, and follow that. And then once you really get clear of what that thing could be, then go ahead and make an investment in yourself, because you are your greatest asset. It's not your car. It's not your house. None of those things. You're your greatest asset. And the more value you bring into your consciousness, the more value you can share with others and essentially create that unlimited life, whatever that means to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really fun, and I feel like there's a lot in here that people can use and utilize, and definitely myself included. So
cool. Yes, it's been awesome.
Thank you, Keara.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this has been good.